The March 24th, 2026 regular Planning Commission meeting is called to order. The time is 6 p.m. Before we begin, commissioners, please put away cell phones. If you have personal business during the meeting, please move for a recess. If you are participating telephonically, please mute your phone unless you are speaking. Also, when speaking, please state your name for those streaming the meeting. As a reminder to attendees, this meeting is being streamed live. The camera is located in the back of the council chambers above the clock. Will the planning clerk please call the roll?
Thank you, Commissioner Seals. Commissioner Stafford, who is participating telephonically.
Yep, I'm here.
Thank you. Commissioner Brown.
Here.
Commissioner DeYoung.
Here.
Commissioner Langell.
Here.
And Commissioner Seals, you do have a quorum with Commissioners Stafford, Brown, DeYoung, and Langell in the chambers.
Thank you. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Commissioner Brown, will you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Yes, sir. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. First item of business is approval of the agenda. Before changes are discussed, are there conflicts of interest to declare? If the commission would like to discuss anything under the consent agenda, such as the minutes, they need to be removed from the consent agenda and placed under new business at this time. Are there changes to the agenda? Hearing no changes to the agenda will stand as presented unless objection is raised. Next on the agenda are reports. Do we have a report from our acting city planner?
Thank you, Chairman. A couple things. The 4th of July parade registration has started. It's limited to 75 floats, so make sure that you go to the cityofwasilla.gov and register if you'd like to participate in that. The Matsu Economic Summit, this is our second year of doing a spring summit. It will be April 1st and 2nd. They are sold out, and they have a waiting list. The first will be a day at Evangelos with various topics that they're going to discuss. And then on the second, there's a actual tour that they're going to take around the city. So that's very exciting. Alaska, I just want to make you aware, Alaska Housing Finance Corporation reached out to us, and they actually just purchased 11 pieces of property in the Matsu Borough and the Fairbanks North Star Borough in the tune of about $8 million. And they're going to put those out to the market for what they call lands to housing catalyst round. And it's basically land that developers can bid on, and they can even do some conceptual development with Alaska Housing. So if you hear about Alaska Housing Finance Corporation's housing initiative, I have more information on that. The properties that they have identified in the Matsu, none of them are in the city per se, but it just lends itself to this housing as a really big initiative, even on a state level. Our Wasilla Airport Master Plan is complete. It's on the FAA's desk for signature. And as soon as we get that signed off, we will go ahead and put it in front of the Planning Commission as well as the council. And the State of the City is going to happen April 21st. That's 11:30 to 1:30 at the Chamber. Chamber of Commerce is sponsoring that at Evangelos. If you would like tickets or more information, you can either contact Evangelos or let me know. And then the Planning Department has been completing all the online instructions for all the permits and all the SOPs that comply with Title 16. Thank you, Holly and her team, to make sure that what we are having people apply for is in compliance with the new code. So that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Do we have
Chair? I have a question for the planner. Is that permitted? Through the chair, Commissioner Langill. Some time ago, you mentioned that the city could provide the planning commission with the list of city-owned properties. Do we have any idea when that will become coming to us?
Through the chair to Commissioner Langell, that is part of our comp plan and it's a land inventory. And so as we move through the comp plan, that will be one of the tasks that we will complete. So probably in the fall, October, November.
The only reason I ask is because we are now looking at changes to our code that's removing certain uses of property from one segment over to another. And in my mind, I'm saying, well, where are we gonna put them? Is there city land available? Because the records I'm seeing, I'll tell you, I'm shocked at the number of lots and properties this city owns and leases. 150 some?
Yeah, and I can work with finance to get a list of what we currently have and then bring that to the next planning commission meeting, if that would be good.
Okay, thank you.
Holly, do we have a report tonight?
Yes, you do have a report tonight. So Irina Filipinko is going to give you a mini training on rezone applications as opposed to permits and variances and other similar applications, and sort of give you the lay of the land on that front. We also will be working with the planner and the planning clerk to come up with a comprehensive training that goes through that sort of, we're going to put on our different hats and kind of practice our quasi-judicial role. So that's to come, but this is a fairly short mini training. So we just are going to try to fit some of these in on some of these topics that we can pull out as we go just over the next few meetings, mostly.
Great idea.
Yeah. Okay. You ready?
over there. But you can help. Sure, pass these out.
Sure.
Copies,
Thank you, ma'am.
of course.
Thank you.
There we go.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Apologies for the staples.
Oh.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm excited to present today. Apologies for the staples. I thought I was going to be very tech savvy and hit auto staple on our printer. And I hit top left corner, but it decided that the top left corner is the top right corner. So that's what we have. How do I hit present on this? All right. This is going to be an introduction to the rezone process. Starting with, what is a rezone? A rezone is a legislative action as opposed to a quasi-judicial one, and it involves changing the zoning map. And it is something that is done in compliance with the comprehensive plan. And the goal of a rezone and the changes to the map is for the community at large, the residents at large, the public. So when you think of that, it's not necessarily a single citizen and their property or a business owner. It is the public in general. Which brings us to what is not a land use, not a rezone, sorry. Mostly it's the quasi-judicial actions that you take. So anything involving conditional use permit, a variance, land use violation appeal, none of these are rezones. None of them involve actual changes to the zoning map. And the last item I list here is that what I just mentioned is that changes to the zoning map that benefit a single landowner are not rezones. And that is because they are spot zoning, and spot zoning is illegal. And that involves singling out a small tract of land. It's not to say that you can't rezone a small parcel of land, but if the purpose of the rezone is to affect a single landowner and their private interests, then that is probably going to be considered spot zoning, and that's probably going to not be legally sound. How does a rezone start? So there are two different ways. Either it can come from the city council or the mayor, and the way that they initiate a rezone is through a proposed ordinance. The planning commission doesn't review it unless it's referred by the council or the mayor, the ordinances. But if it's the member of the public that is the initiator, one landowner, several, a group, that goes through an application process that starts with the planning department. And once that application is complete, then it moves on to the next phase where the planning commission actually gets involved. So what does the planning commission do specifically with a rezone? Well, it reviews the application and has a hearing and then makes a recommendation to council. After that, council reviews the recommendation, reviews the application, has a hearing, and ultimately makes a decision in the form of an ordinance, whether or not they will make the change to the zoning map. The commission can say we don't recommend this, and the council can say, well, that's fine, but we are still going to make this change. So it is more of an advisory role in that sense. The process goes like this for the commission. There's going to be a hearing. The commission then will adopt findings of fact, and we'll talk about those a little bit more, and then we'll make its recommendation to the council. So, something very important here, and I add exclamation points and highlight this right now because Holly and I have seen this become an issue in some other communities that we work with, is understanding the distinction between a quasi-judicial hearing and a rezone hearing, which is a legislative hearing. We call them hearings, we call them public hearings, and in the sense the public is involved in both of them, but they are very different, and it's important before we get into a rezone process to understand the difference. So in the quasi-judicial hearings, as Holly has talked about in one of her last trainings, it's quasi-judicial, it's by itself means court-like. We have strict procedures. Holly has stressed before that your decision is based on the record before you, and it is like a closed box, I think we talked about. And that a quasi-judicial hearing is the application of policies to specific individuals. So like a conditional use permit is not changing the zoning map. It is applying the policies that we have, and you come to a decision and you move forward. In a legislative hearing, these are policy decisions that affect all citizens. It involves much more public participation, and challenging a legislative decision is very different than challenging a quasi-judicial decision. For example, if you don't follow any procedural guidelines, consider information outside of the record when you're in a quasi-judicial hearing, somebody can appeal that and say, the planning commission didn't follow proper procedure and this decision should be overturned. And then that's possible. But with a legislative hearing and a legislative decision, the decision is only overturned if it was arbitrary and unreasonable, and that is the standard. And these are decisions that have to be challenged not through an appeal, but rather through an independent action through the court. So it's a much more, I guess, serious movement as far as like lawmaking, like any other ordinance that the council would pass. So the commission's findings of fact. The code provides two things that the commission needs to consider when it has a rezone application. The first is a compliance with the comprehensive plan, and the second is the preservation of public health, safety, and welfare. So as you can see, these are a little bit different factors than you have in for quasi-judicial decisions that you make. But I will say that something important to note is that just because a rezone application might comply with a comprehensive plan does not mean that the commission needs to say, we approve this, we recommend this. Just because it complies doesn't mean that it's an automatic recommendation. You can still, you're supposed to look at the public at large, health, safety, welfare, which are pretty broad categories, and the discussion can be more broad than it would be in a quasi-judicial hearing for that matter. So what can the commission do after that? This is my last slide. As Holly said, it's a short presentation. You can approve the rezoning request as submitted. You can approve it with special limitations. You can recommend an amendment to a more appropriate zoning district, or you can you can disapprove the zoning request and you can say, for example, no, this is illegal spot zoning, this is to benefit one individual. Or you can say, this doesn't comply with the comprehensive plan, or this does not preserve public safety, what have you. And after you submit your recommendation, the council reviews and they go through their public hearing process and they make their decision, and ultimately they might decide to remand back to the commission for additional recommendations. But that's the process in a nutshell. Do you have any questions?
Of course. Thank you. Very good presentation. I've been scratching my head trying to understand all of the pieces of the ordinance that is before us tonight for review requested by the council. Where does it fit in? Does it fit in, are we changing the comprehensive plan? Are we changing zoning? Because it's removing designation out of a particularly zoned piece of land.
I mean, my understanding is that it's a zoning issue, but I think Holly can probably answer that better than I can.
Yeah, it's a good question because
Yeah.
we do amend the zoning districts and the city has a mechanism for and the council has authority to just amend the zoning map. And so, but here they're not amending the zoning map because they're not moving the lines. They're moving what is permitted or not permitted within those lines. And so that is within council's purview. However, they cannot make changes to Title 16 without getting the recommendations and input from the Planning Commission. And so that is what triggers. So they have an ordinance where they're proposing, and we'll obviously take that up when we get to that discussion. But they're looking at the changing what is prohibited or allowed within a district. And so the commission will have an opportunity to weigh in on that. But that's the difference. Rezone, we're moving lines. That's how I think of it. We're moving lines legislatively. And one thing that, just to add to what Arena's saying, is it really depends on where you live, whether rezone is legislative or quasi-judicial. There are states that it is quasi-judicial. That's why it's so confusing. So other states have said this is a quasi-judicial function and you have to, because of the findings, so there's these findings in the hearing process. And when Arena talks about spot zoning, so there's specific things that if you are finding for the individual, like she explained so well, then you're entering the realm of spot zoning. But in other states, some of them have found it quasi-judicial. In Alaska, the court has said, look, this has to be for the greater good, for the lack of a better term. You draw lines on your map for the districts based on what's good for Wasilla. And so you cannot, even if it's a small parcel, you cannot change your determination and focus just on the parcel owner or any individual. So when we look at legislation, I would say it's the same, Commissioner Lanchel. I mean, it's the same concept. We don't decide what you can and cannot do in a district just for an individual. But I think that one's more almost subconscious, right? Like that one we feel comfortable in when we're drawing what can you do in commercial versus what you can't do in commercial. Everybody's thinking, what does the commercial enterprise and operations within the city look like? So we're sort of naturally, the council and the commission is going to be looking at the greater good, the best interests of the community. So I don't know if that helps, but basically rezone, move the lines on the map. These ordinances decide what you can and cannot do in the individual districts.
Okay, so it's just changing the map. It's not changing the use.
In our case,
In rezone, you're changing the lines on the map, not what you can do within those lines.
Okay.
And on the ordinance, yes, you're changing the use, not the map for the ordinance.
Thank you.
So we can Chair Seals, we can recommend, but still in a lot of this, the council has the ultimate say.
Yes, that's correct. Council has the ultimate decision-making authority there.
Thank you. That was really good. Anybody else have any questions?
Commissioner Brown, is there any rules that says when council can't change?
Not that I'm aware of. Right? I mean, the zoning, the Title 16 zoning provisions specifically give council the authority to amend the zoning map through ordinance. Council also can't engage in spot zoning or make the same improper decisions or recommendations that you could. Is that correct, Holly?
Yeah, I agreed. I think the one thing too is when if an application for a rezone is brought to you, or even an ordinance referred down to you, one of the things Arena and I will do, and we generally do this in real time with a rezone application, we prepare a memo that analyzes the application or initiative or ordinance under the court rules regarding rezone. So that's spot zoning that Arena's talking about. We make sure that you have something, attorney-client privilege document that really applies those to the specific situation, because it's tricky and there's a lot of cases out there. So while Arena's presentation is, really tight and it's very sort of clean in order to get there and understand all those pieces. She's not just looking at your code, she's looking at the case precedent, and we have several cases.
Right. And it also cannot be an arbitrary or unreasonable decision just because.
Thank you very much.
Thanks so much for having me.
See you next month.
All right, next on the agenda, we are now at persons to be heard, a time for members of the public to share their views with the Planning Commission. This is not a question and answer period or a time for dialogue. Speakers may be referred to administration, or issues raised may be taken under advisement by the commission or administration. Anyone wishing to step forward may do so at this time.
Am I allowed to talk before the ordinance versus 5 minutes per person, or only the public participation?
I think there's
3 minutes.
audience comments later is 3 minutes.
No, for the ordinance versus 5 minutes per person, for public. On that,
Yes.
I'll talk at that then, so I got more time.
Yeah. Because otherwise you don't.
Business, you would have 5 minutes.
Who wants to talk on the actual adopting ordinance?
With no one wishing to
minutes.
speak, the next item of business is the approval of the minutes. Will the planning clerk please read items for approval under approval of the minutes?
Thank you, Commissioner Seals. We have the regular meeting minutes for the March 10th, 2026 Planning Commission meeting.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the minutes as read?
Commissioner Brown, move to approve the minutes in 7-1.
Is there a second?
Commissioner Langill, second.
Is there any discussion? Is there an objection to the motion? Hearing no objection, motion passes. Next on the agenda is new business, legislative recommendations and actions. Will the planning clerk please read the item under legislative recommendations actions?
Thank you, Commissioner Seals. We have for referral to the Planning Commission from City Council for referral to the Planning Commission for 45 days or other date specified by the City Council, Ordinance Serial Number 2607, amending Wasilla Municipal Code Title 16 Land Development Code to strengthen the commercial zoning district by prohibiting small assisted living facilities, long-term small and transient small, duplexes, multifamily dwellings, and single-family dwellings.
Thank you. Will the acting city planner please provide a report?
Chair Seals, I would recommend that you suspend the rules and allow the member of the public to talk.
I can't-
Because the five.
Well, and
oh,
I was
sorry,
just
the
looking at.
5-minute thing is not, I think
Yeah,
that's
and
just
I
a
was just
typo
looking
on
at the
agenda.
script here. There's no room in the legislative hearing for his comments. And so, yeah, I would.
Yes, because this, and I think this is just a sort of a good training moment for us, because the commission doesn't adopt ordinances, right? So we don't have a public hearing process associated with your consideration of the ordinance. The only thing the commission does is sort of talk about and think about whether or not they want to recommend approval. And if they do, then you would direct staff to prepare a resolution, which would create another opportunity to talk if that resolution is created, which would then come before the commission one last time and then either be adopted or not by the commission. But generally, even when we do that, there are 2 opportunities to speak at a commission meeting, unless you're in a quasi-judicial hearing, which is sort of a mini trial, and then you can participate if you're a party, right? So based on that, there was the initial opportunity to speak. Your next opportunity to speak, if you're a member of the public, would be after they've thought through and talked to the planner and really dealt with this issue. So because we are the planning commission and we are not before the council, it would be appropriate to suspend the rules and allow public participation for 5 minutes, especially given the note on the agenda. which-
Chairman Sills,
Yes.
Commissioner Lanchell, I move that the commission goes under committee of the whole relaxed and allow the public and other people to speak to this agenda item up to 5 minutes.
Commissioner Brown, second.
Any objection? No. Say we move into the committee of the whole and we allow this person to speak.
Yeah, and you don't need to move into the committee of the whole. You could just suspend the rules and allow them to speak. But either one is fine.
Well, that way we have a
Sounds good.
little more open discussion.
Flexibility.
Yeah. Welcome. Please write your name and contact information on the sign-up sheet. When you're finished, state your name for the record, and you will have 5 minutes to speak.
Hello, Planning Commission. My name is Brian Sand. I am a city resident. Wanted to talk on 2607, I believe, the amending of the uses in the commercial zoning. I understand where Mr. Graham is came up with this idea. Let's be honest, the apartments, luxury apartments, that's what started this, as far as I can tell. Did it really fit there? Kind of 50-50, but calling it luxury when you're forcing people to park outside with no garages, probably not. But there's quite a few issues I see that come from this. One is, I looked through the use chart. Multifamily is only allowed if this goes through on RM and R2 zoning. There is 2 R2 lots that are not built on that I can find in all the city. All the RM is fully built on. So now you're going to be forcing people to go to rezoning, and then you start getting into the spot zoning issues, and then, getting it through the city council. Versus with the conditional use permit, I've been, watching the meetings now for a couple of years, and we've seen where people that want to purchase a piece of property for a certain use are having the current owner come through you guys to get a conditional use permit before they purchase. Makes total sense. I mean, it happened that's what that guy was trying to do for the 24-unit apartment complex. It's what happened with the plumbing company that's going down by SPS. Makes sense, a lot easier. Now, with that change, if you want to make someone go through a rezone, so then it's going to be a rezone, potentially another conditional use, like you have no idea, as if you're trying to buy a lot and you're hoping that happens, you have no clue if that's going to work or not. Adds more time, more money, all that, versus maybe looking at figuring out what kind of conditions you actually want to put on multifamily. So that's the first issue I see. The second one is the commercial zoning for the city is pretty large. There's a lot of single family homes in it, a lot of duplexes, triplexes, fourplexes. There's a lot of stuff that's now going to become legal non-conforming. Not a big deal, except for the way the codes are in now. I can't remember if it's 40 or 60%. If more than 40 or 60% of the building's damaged and has to be repaired, you can no longer build that same building. You can only build what's now allowed. Say you have a multifamily, if this goes through, you are now stuck not even into a multifamily, a single family home or anything. You now have to do solely commercial or some other use with it. That's pretty crazy, especially when we're trying to talk about affordable housing. You know, the city's growing population wise, and stuff like that. The other issue I see is the commercial zoning is where a lot of our utilities are, and to have more dense housing, which therefore makes it more affordable typically for either renters or owners, you know, condos, apartments, townhouses. You need city utilities. You can't have a big enough septic and a big enough well and all that. It makes it a lot easier when we can tie into city utilities. Now, if you take all those uses out of commercial zoning, along with the fact that there's pretty much zero lots, there's two that you could do multifamily on, where are we going to see potentially more dense housing to allow more affordability? Or, you know, a big development by a developer that says wants to do a 40-unit rental, and it does look nice and it kind of does fit a certain area. You know, there's a lot of different issues that you can kind of use to poke holes in this. And in my opinion, this is kind of like a knee-jerk reaction to something got proposed, came forward. In my opinion, it wasn't even fully done. There was an application, didn't talk about how many bedrooms or bathrooms in the unit, didn't talk about how many floors. They said they didn't know. They knew that the unit count, and they had a site plan, and they knew that there, you know, here's snow storage, here's parking spots. And to me, I would say maybe the planning clerk or the planner, once we get a new one, needs to look at that kind of stuff and make sure that applications, in my opinion, were more complete. To wrap up, basically, I'm thinking, I would just ask you guys to maybe not recommend this going forward. Actually look at what the impacts would be. How many single family homes, if someone's house burns down, are now going to be having to live somewhere else, duplexes, see what the actual impacts are, and think about the future of the city, of affordability and what you want to look at, because solely using commercial land for tax doesn't really work. You have to have the people willing to come here and spend that money. And if you had to pass other grocery stores outside city limits, you're not going to shop here. So
Turn it off.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, acting planner, you had a report on this, didn't you?
I did a little bit of research, and I thought
Thank you.
we just have an interactive conversation about one, the importance of this online permitting system we have. I can go in and I can pull this information relatively quickly. And now that we have our maps online, you can pull up any address in the city and see what zone they're in and what's allowed and what kind of permit they would need. And so just giving you the tools to do your own research. Julia, would you mind giving them the little report that I have for the property?
Yes.
Now, keep in mind, this is just from 2022 because we could pull it up really quickly. All of our physical files are by subdivision, so it'd take an enormous amount of time to pull that up. But I just want to point out a couple things that I think are relevant. So on the front page is all of the commercial building activity that's happening. And you will see that some are expanding, some are being repurposed, some are new development, some are what we call revitalization. But the top two are permits that went through the conditional use process that in one case, it was an assisted living home that was repurposed from general office. It was a medical clinic. They repurposed it to an assistant living. It is in a commercial district. And it went through the process to get a conditional use permit and everything necessary with fire. The next one down is the My House project that's happening, 34,000 square feet, service to youth, and that is a mixed use. They will have retail at the bottom, administrative in the middle, and then they'll have another floor with some temporary beds for 24-hour service. So those two developments right there, if this type of legislation would pass, would not be allowed. If we go down a little bit further to a restaurant expansion, this is up at Steam Commons, 12,000 square feet. They have the restaurant at the bottom and they have housing on top for their employees. Again, mixed use, commercial activities on the bottom. And when we permitted it as exactly that, commercial and then housing above. Because once they add housing, employee housing, you have a whole nother conversation about parking and traffic, and there's a whole, but we don't have in the code right now mixed use. We just have commercial, and it lends itself to how we interpret it to bring it forward to you. On the second page, I separated duplexes, triplexes, and single family homes. Now, granted, these streets that I identified, there's multiple permits that we've gotten, say duplexes on, Ashbrook Drive, Alliance Drive. But I just want to point out, those are all rural residential, except for one that was converted from a home to a duplex in 2022, and it was commercial. At the time, they had to do a use permit, and a use permit required notification. But it didn't always go to the Planning Commission for approval if the notification resulted in less than 50% said they didn't want it. There was a percentage there. Now, if they were to do that, they would have to go through the conditional use process. On the bottom is a triplex in a commercial zone. And again, it is a use permit. And it was one of the reasons why, and correct me if I'm wrong, Holly, but we got rid of the use permit in the rewrite of Title 16 because it gets very subjective when you start doing notifications and neighbors don't like each other. And it out of all the permits that we processed online, it was the one stopgap where you just didn't know if it was going to be elevated or not. And the same thing with our single family homes over on Lakeview Avenue. Commercial lot, they want to build a nice home. They went through the use permit process. And today they would have to go through the conditional use process. So those are just some examples for you guys to consider. And as you all know, you can go to the citywasilla.gov to the actual map and drill down to see what would be the use. So one of the things I found very interesting is all of the condos that are over by Wasilla Lake and all the way over to where the old depot is, that is all commercial. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of housing that's over there. And it would be, as the gentleman stated, it would be a non-conforming, because if you're not allowed to put housing in there, that would cause a non-compliance issue. But use this as just a guide. And if you want to get more details and you want to get addresses or anything like that, just stop by the office. One other thing I want to point out, at the very bottom, we put some what we call revitalize or expansion. So Walmart had a retail expansion. They did a 6,000 square foot for ordering online because they needed them. And I think the pharmacy as well. And then the Sears building, 105,000 square feet commercial, that actually sits on leased property. So even though it's leased property, because of the square footage, it was elevated up to the Planning Commission for approval. So these will give you a good idea of what we've been processing the last few years, 3 years, and hopefully it will help you to gain some more information about this.
Thank you. Is there any discussion by the commission?
Are we going into the ordinance now?
So I just want to be clear just on the process. You don't have so we don't have an ordinance. We just start, we as the planning commission just looks at this ordinance. It's put before you on new business for discussion purposes. So it is appropriate for you to discuss it. And the difference between discussing something sort of when we talk about the committee of the whole, for example, which is sort of a more free discussion versus discussing it just as part of your process, you would just sort of go through and we would follow the rules of Robert's Rules of Order, and people would speak one time or members would, share their views, and then you can make a motion directing the commission, the planner to bring a resolution back before the commission that approving or recommending approval or recommending that it not be approved. You can do either in this particular case. You would that's all you're looking for here. This is an opportunity to just discuss it and then make that direction for that resolution. So it'll come back before you one more time in the form of a resolution. This is just a discussion. You don't have it as the planning commission. There's no ordinance here. You know what I mean? So just so you're
Well,
not
they
thinking
say it's gonna come back to us as
a resolution.
resolution, I'm
recommendation.
sorry,
Right.
resolution.
So I see what it is. So I don't want you to feel like you're introducing and going through a public hearing process on this ordinance. I know, that's sort of what council will do. You're just looking at it and trying to decide if you want to recommend it. The other thing to note is, and I'm just bringing this up because we just went through the Title 16 process. One of the parts of that is a phase 2 to Title 16. Phase 2 will involve, once the comp plan is complete, delving into the lines, right? And one of the things that the commission had talked about a lot when we were going through the Title 16 process was mixed use. And it was sort of this, well, we may need a new district, we need a mixed use district. And that was also one of the things that the commission discussed a lot, was whether or not they wanted to repeal or recommended the repeal of the overlay district. And part of that discussion involved, well, okay, what happens if we repeal the overlay district, which council ultimately did with the commission support? What does it look like? What's left? And what's left when we lifted that overlay district was the commercial district. So that's just a reminder for the commission that downtown, what used to be the downtown overlay district, is all commercial. So as you're weighing everything that the planner presented, I wanted you to remember those two pieces from
So I'm a visual person. And so this overlay, once it came back, everything went to its original commercial status. So that's one of the changes that we have to make now so once legislation passes, we have to modify the map to reflect the legislation. What's interesting, as you get closer in this map, you'll see like over here's a RM that isn't contiguous to another RM. It's just all by itself. And the same thing with over here by the lake, you've got, multifamily going around here and then commercial. So take some time to look at these. You also have little PUDs, which in my experience with planning, it's been phased developments of housing primarily, where you've got a 30-year plan to build out by phase. And you'll tell by the different colors. There's some RM. This over here by the lake seems to be a little bit challenging when we get applications because it's a split zone. So, they'll own this property, they'll want a house here, down here, but then it goes into rural residential. So you got split zoning here, which makes it very complicated.
Across the street.
Across the street, right. So just take some time to look at the map and kind of see where we are. Here's industrial, which is the airport, and we've had some commercial rezones over here because of the constructability, or the soils are not good to build on. They wanted to have it industrial. So that's why we've there's been some zoning changes over here on this north end of Wasilla. And then there's a little industrial guy right over here. He's all by himself. Anyway, feel free to look at these and make some assessments. Like I said, you can click on them and see what's allowed and what kind of permit that you would want. But as the legislation changes for a rezone, the map will change as well. And then we have to print one and the mayor signs it. So this is the official map. Hopefully that helps you guys. And is it okay, Chair, if we have other members, like Councilmember Cottle's here? Could she speak
Oh,
at this moment?
I would love that.
Okay.
most definitely. Well, that's
I mean,
kind of
especially since it
I
kind of.
wanted to open it up so we could have a
Why
discussion.
are we?
Because I have some views about this, and I think all of us have some views about this, so.
Before she
I
speaks,
don't think I
can I
can
ask a
see my
question?
views.
Sure.
Could you, the planner or the attorney, enlighten us what critical issue needed to be fixed prior to the comprehensive plan being finished that the council is trying to accomplish with this change?
That's what I wanna know, excuse me.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's
So
my
why
question.
do it
Is
now?
this
Is that
pre,
the question? I don't know the answer to that.
is this premature to have
You
this
know.
before the commission at this point when we're going to redo Title 16?
I don't
when-
think it's premature.
Huh?
I don't think it's premature because if they pass this, we're screwed. We can't do anything. I don't think it's premature at all.
I think the word that our first person to speak, Brian, thank you. It was a knee-jerk reaction to what happened during this. So,
But it's not plainly stated anywhere. That's why I thought maybe the planner may be aware of some issues that I'm not seeing that's come before the council that was critical, that something need to happen immediately rather than later.
Well,
I guess my question again is, if, let's say the commission says we agree with the council passes this, the changes are made now. 6 months down the road, when we start looking at Title 16, which the commercial section, I know several commissioners have question on, is it going to get changed again? See my point? The poor residents are saying, is this 6 months at a time?
I don't think most of the residents have a clue what goes on. I'm sorry, but that's the truth.
The only thing I can say, because I feel like in some ways, and I know most of you were in those joint meetings with council, but Commissioner Lanchell, I do not think that you were on the commission yet. So in sort of support of what you're saying, I will tell you that this commission and the council, at the time they adopted Title 16, intended to go through go through changing and reviewing the districts themselves, as well as they looked at the permitted uses and marched through them during that process. But the intent was to do that more substantively and comprehensively during what was called or deemed phase 2. So that would be, and the goal there was to have more public hearings to treat and to have the completed comp plan before them too. I think that was. So, on another note, if you're going to take more public comments, so in the future, when we relax the rules to accept public comment, I mean, that was mainly based on the agenda. I would do everybody at the same time, just for clean minutes and record. I mean, again, I have no
would've asked her
problem.
to come
There's
up.
no risk. Yes, I would have done that. At the time, I would have said, are there any other members of the public that would like to speak?
That makes
Because
sense.
when Ms. Cottle is speaking to the commission, she's doing that as a member of the public.
Right.
Even though she may identify the fact that her experience and knowledge is framed in part by her role on council. So that's just a little pointer. We have no risk. There's nothing that is done wrong here, and it's informing your conversation. So I think it's fine to take the comment, and we'll all work on refining the ways that we move through our agenda. meeting.
But again, I listened to the council meeting when this was before them, and I definitely picked up that some were saying they were not happy with all of these changes at this point. And so to me, it's putting the commission in an awkward position with the council.
I don't feel awkward.
Okay.
No. I don't think the members of the public here tonight are feeling awkward,
No, I don't think so.
so.
Well, I'm a little awkward sitting here.
Well, we would like to hear from you. So can we just
Especially
all be
having to
quiet?
listen to the attorney dress me down on how I did this.
Aw,
Doing great.
that was awkward.
She does it so well.
But we all waiting to hear from you.
Yes, we're waiting.
All right. Kathy Cottle, City Council, but I am speaking as a member of the public, not representing the council tonight. And Holly, thank you for talking about how, we all worked on Title 16 for a year and doing a lot of revisions, but there was the plan to go into phase 2. Sometimes when we do all kinds of work and we change things, you don't know till afterwards that maybe something didn't work or we could make something better. I would really encourage the Planning Commission to take the opportunity to think outside the box.
Mhm.
We don't have quote unquote mixed uses like we could. If you look in so many places in the lower 48, in the Midwest where I'm originally from, even in small rural towns, commercial had residential in floors above it. I mean, you go way, way back many, many decades ago, business owners lived above their businesses.
Yes.
And you see in so many of these towns and now in so many cities where the first floor is commercial and upper floors are residential, I think we have a real opportunity to look at that. We do need our commercial. We only have so much commercial land. We, as a city, survive on sales tax. We need our commercial, but we need residential. And I think this is an opportunity for all of you to look at mixed uses, to look at our building heights. There's a lot of things that we can look at going into phase 2 that I think would definitely help the growth of the city. And the city keeps growing. And we want people here, but we need the infrastructure for them. So I think this is an opportunity for you to open that box, look at all kinds of different scenarios that we can carry into phase 2 of our Title 16 plan and get as much input from the public, from residences, from commercial builders, from everybody. And I know we've gotten a lot of that in the past, but I think we've seen now things that work and some things that maybe didn't work as well as we thought they might. So I just encourage all of you to just think in all kinds of different directions, not just in the small little box that what our Title 16 is now, but maybe what it could be that might be more beneficial for the public than we thought was possible. And I think it's time to do that now. The thought of maybe going another year doing all this and all the meetings does not thrill me to death, but I think it would be very beneficial for growth for the city in the long term. So, thank you.
Thank you
Commissioner
very much.
Langill, to the chair. Next question, are we limited to what's in this, or should we go open that box and say, let's look at this, can we add?
So you could, I mean, sort of the world is your oyster. You
Mhm.
could pass a resolution or you could direct the preparation of a resolution that recommends postponement of this ordinance and consideration of the ordinance until after phase 2 has been initiated. And you could go so far as to include within that resolution a recommendation that phase 2 be initiated so that you can start considering different zoning districts or, before the completion of the comp plan, which I believe is what Ms. Cottle was recommending, or suggesting that you consider out when you're thinking outside the box. To me, that is what that would be. You would be you would be you would be drafting a resolution recommending postponement, but also recommending that phase 2 be initiated. And that would give your planner time to maybe get some, some information regarding other districts, the types of districts that are out there. So you could start educating yourself on what kind of districts are available, what kind of development is out there. And then, oh wait, when was the comp plan? Roughly January 27th. But that conversation can start, and then you can decide if you want to make changes before the comp plan's done. But January of 2027.
January of 27 is tomorrow. I mean, it's coming it's right around the corner.
I agree. I think it'll be quick. So that means your phase 2 could start, or you can use that resolution to communicate that formally to council, and that would be appropriate. So long as you also address whether or not you recommend they adopt or do not adopt the proposed ordinance. That needs to be in your resolution.
Okay.
I don't know if does that answer the question?
Yeah, the way I see it is, we can recommend this down as it is. We can offer amendments to it. Or we can send them our own resolution. So, but the way I see it, we had to get the downtown overlay out of the way and free up all that commercial area. I hadn't even thought about Brian's idea. So one of those big townhouses buildings over across from Fred Meyer's by the train depot, one of those buildings burns down. Well, if this passes,
It can't be.
they can't rebuild it.
So that's going to
So I
hurt
don't
financing.
think-
That's going to hurt insurance. It's just a huge mess.
I think the term knee-jerk reaction is exactly what this is. I don't think there was much thought beyond last week as to putting this together. So I think the way I see it is, we can just recommend that this goes away. We can offer them alternatives, but we already have mixed use. We just didn't get it into Title 16 when we were going through it, because some of this stuff, it took a while to research it.
Mhm.
And the use permits, they were at the discretion of the planner. And yeah, that was really bad for the city. So where we're at now is really good.
Mhm.
But going off the comp plan that's in force now, to make this drastic change that's going to affect so many different things, I think postponing it until after the comp plan is finished, or in phase 2, change it. But we need mixed use because we already have it.
So one of the things you could do too is you could just do a resolution sharing. So you could make a motion to direct the planner to prepare a resolution.
That's what
Recommending against the adoption of this ordinance, right? So you could do that. Then you can, one of the duties of the commission is simply to look and review Title 16 and make recommendations for any changes. So we can start that process just on a commission level and start working with the planner, to bring forward, in essence, for the commission to say, we're starting our phase 2. And this, we want to take a look at the zoning map. We want to understand our zones, so you're taking that first step based on the planner's report. We want to understand our zones. We want to really consider what we can and cannot do in those zones. And then we want to start to understand how other people are zoning and what a mixed use district, because in my experience, it is very unusual that your commercial district is so large, but it is in essence a mixed use district. That's how your downtown overlay district could go away. You have your commercial district, and yet most of those uses from the downtown overlay district did not kick into non-conforming. They complied with the commercial district. And so, which will change if this ordinance is adopted, but at the same time, considering all of that and educating yourselves seems like that's completely within your authority if you want to do that. So then you can take it you can do the resolution and keep it clean and then kind of do your own thing as a commission through the planner and start moving forward that way. That's another option.
And I would just add to that, as we saw in the last permit process, that the last permit you guys had for the 25 unit, we really need to understand our utilities, our water and our sewer, and where those upgrades are happening and where we don't have capacity. Because one of the things we don't want to do is to permit a large development that has to find out that they're probably going to have to wait 3 years to get water
Right.
or sewer
Or sidewalks or
sidewalks
parking or
that infrastructure that's real is a necessity. The other thing that I think we need to understand is when you have property that is leased from a third party and they're 10-year leases. I'll use the railroad as an example. They own property that they will lease to a business for 10 years, and we usually don't know until they come to us and say, hey, we're gonna open up a consulting business here, and we don't have any pedestrian infrastructure to support the traffic of infrastructure coming and going. So there's just some things to think about.
Commissioner Stafford, are you still with us?
Chairman Seals, did you want to take a 5-minute recess?
Sure, we can do that.
Yeah, and Commissioner Stafford is still here, yes.
Perfect. I just wanted to make sure we hadn't forgotten you, and we want to include you in this conversation. We're going to take a 5-minute recess off the record.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna figure out.
I want to direct
So critical of students.
Okay.
We have to do that. I don't want to put them
Say
together.
this on the record when we come back in.
First, I want to say,
Was it neat? Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
You can go into more detail. We're on the record.
I can tell them how to go. No.
Oh, no.
Better. Let's get rid of this. No. Oh, that's silly. So,
In order to make a motion, you have to come out of committee of the whole.
It's all your fault.
At least it's the summer, I feel like.
Close the committee of the whole.
Usually.
Hey, I saw I could get that for 2 minutes. I was gonna take like a
Thank you.
Motion to come out of committee. It's right now, this is just discussion, it's not. So once you come out of the whole, then you can make a motion to actually do something. See my point?
next year, from 25 unit, we could go 4 stories and you could put commercial and a garage on the bottom.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know, offices on the second and some, 2 stories of, that would have been fucking awesome. What yeah. I mean, this is disgusting, this piece of shit here, but it's a great idea.
It's actually a good thing.
So that's pretty much it.
That's what I would do if I was walking around out there. I'm open door and go out and enjoy the heat for a few minutes.
Make sure to
Tell you're moved on.
do this.
Oh, okay.
Changing your bill on foundation still, right?
This really pissed me off.
It's recorded.
No.
More efficient.
On UPs. This was.
If we had had this
But Stu doesn't vote.
If we had had this meeting, none of this would be happening,
We didn't do a PUD.
just so you know.
It's still commercial.
Yeah.
You know the Collier building?
Because
Answer that one.
Yeah.
on the corner of Nelson and Lucas or whatever over there, across from the park.
And I'd say
It
half.
totally goes.
If. Isn't that
I don't know. See, we would have to look at the map, but nonetheless, it would be fine there. I mean, 'cause we need
Commissioners,
we need
I'm gonna go back online.
You finish.
Are we all good?
Yeah. You just want, well, yeah, we're good.
We're good. All right, we're gonna go back on the record.
Yeah, sure.
And I'm like, oh no. I mean, like, whatever. It doesn't bother me. It doesn't offend me at all.
I know.
Control yourself.
So we're still in discussion of what the planning commission would like to do in regards to our recommendation for
I think you're gonna
this.
give him a shout first.
And do you have anything you would like to add at this moment, Commissioner Stafford?
Nothing to add at this point. I've enjoyed the discussion.
Break.
I've been kind of going back and forth in my mind on.
Commissioner Stafford, are you still with us?
Yeah, can you hear me? Hello, I'm here.
There you go.
Okay.
There you are.
Oh, you were muted this end.
Okay.
sorry. Good thing.
Yeah,
we
I'm still
suspended
here.
the
I'm
rules.
enjoying the. I'm enjoying the discussion, and nothing to comment on at this point.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to make sure we checked in with you. So, any other thoughts on this?
Good now.
Before, can we, so. Well, I don't know if that's, can I make a motion to come out of the committee as a whole so that we can talk about it? So that we can propose they do, or how do we?
He wants to come out of committee of the whole in order to make a motion or action on the item before us.
Or do we still want to talk about it?
And you can make comments on a motion without going into committee of the whole.
Yes,
Okay.
because
Okay,
there's a
and so-
discussion part.
Right, generally under Robert's Rules of Order, you would want to, the chair may limit you to, you'll share your comments, I'll move on to the next commissioner. There's provisions in that sense, but yes, you can come out of the committee of the whole. That's why I generally would not recommend moving into the committee of the whole when we're taking the
Come out
public
of it, yeah.
comments. We just have our meeting and move through it. We would generally use the committee of the whole if we're going to talk about something. See a good example. I mean, for the commission, it's not as needed. For the council, it is a very powerful tool because they'll use the committee of the whole to have those relaxed discussions often before the meeting even starts, right? So they'll have a meeting.
Or halfway
before.
through like last night.
Yeah, so, or they'll go in and so I wasn't there. Did they do so they'll pull that out, but that's a very formal body where the commission is moving through, you're moving through legislative and quasi-judicial hearings constantly. So we want to make sure we follow Robert's Rules of Order. but
Well,
at
that's
the
why I
same
asked,
time,
yeah.
You're fine. So you can pull it out of the committee of the whole, come out of the committee of the whole, make your motion, go through, let everybody talk about the motion. But remember, if the motion is to direct the planner to prepare a resolution, you're going to have another full discussion
Right.
surrounding that resolution next meeting.
So can we just direct the preparation of an ordinance without
No, a
No,
resolution.
a resolution, I mean?
Yes, you can say, I'd like to move to direct the planner to prepare a resolution recommending,
Well, I want to
Yeah,
recommend
this-
mixed use. Like, I think we should talk about that.
well, okay, so you could, what I would do first is either recommend are supporting or not supporting this ordinance, supporting this ordinance or recommending that this ordinance be. Yeah, and you may want to, you can go so far as to say denied or rejected by council, or you could just say postponed indefinitely or to allow for phase 2 to proceed or something like that, which would be sort of a more, you could do that. And then you could direct the planner to bring forward a plan for exploring mixed use districts within the and other, other changes to the map.
That's separate from the
But
motion.
I would do it separate.
Separate from the
Two
motion. Well, yeah,
motions.
because
I
then
do
they don't
two
get.
motions, and again, these are just motions, so we have a lot of flexibility, but I do the 2 motions. Then you'll get your resolution, will be clean. But so you just have to decide, do you want to direct the resolution, approve the ordinance? So you want to direct the resolution, postpone the ordinance or reject the language regarding that. But if you just say resolution rejecting or recommending the rejection of the ordinance, we can.
Well, that's why I was went to this committee. The whole thing is so that we could discuss prior to any motions being made, so that we knew general consensus among us, what the motion was going to lead to.
Well, and I think it
Can we
works
do that?
great. And I think you can just
Make a
relax the
motion
rules for
during-
discussion.
We're not making a motion. Can
for
we
the
discuss
committee.
it?
I think it's been was not schooling you. I think this has been very productive and efficient.
Yes.
And I think that you have all shared your comments and the public has had an opportunity to speak. And so I think you're doing great.
Okay.
All right. What do you want to do, folks?
Well,
Shoot, your motion.
I make a motion that we reject this ordinance 2607. And I guess we leave that flat because then I would recommend that they prepare something, but let's just deal with one
We
thing
have
at
to
a
deal
time.
with them one at a time.
Yeah, one at a time, so.
So
Commissioner-
I take motion, Commissioner DeYoung's motion to be, I make a motion to direct the planner to prepare a resolution rejecting this.
Yes.
Okay, that's what I said.
Is there a second to it?
Commissioner
motion.
Langill, second.
Is there any discussion? Well, I think that, this is Chair Seals, I think that we can flat out reject this, or it might be easier to swallow by the council members that put this forward if we recommended postponing it. That's just my opinion, because no matter what we say, if they have enough votes, which they can just move around us. So
Yeah, I think, did that motion get a second?
Yes.
Okay, so then I would say what I hear you saying is you maybe want to move to amend the motion. To
possibly,
recommend postponement, pending phase 2 or, pending comprehensive consideration of the zoning districts within the city. You could call that phase 2 or
Commissioner,
not, something that's.
That's what I was gonna suggest for your friendly amendment is postponement until after the completion of the comprehensive plan.
okay, I propose an amendment to the motion to postpone this until phase 2.
Commissioner Langill, second.
So now the planning clerk will walk you through the vote on that amendment.
Okay, and just to clarify, planning clerk through the chair, the amendment to the main motion to now postpone, to recommend postponing ordinance serial number 2607 until the next Title 16 rewrite, or the comprehensive plan is
The
complete?
next Title 16 phase 2, because that will come
Okay.
prior to the new comp plan, correct?
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so the amended motion is to recommend
Okay,
postponing, I can finish, thank you. postponing the, recommend to city council postponing ordinance serial number 2607 until the phase 2 of the Title 16 rewrite commences. Am I correct?
I did not mean to. But we need to direct the planner to prepare the resolution. That's all,
Okay.
that's why I interrupted. You
Okay.
have your motion
Thank
to
you.
direct the planner to prepare the resolution. So maybe start with that and then go back. Motion to direct the planner to prepare a resolution.
Okay, sorry. All right, so the amended motion is to direct the planner to draft a resolution recommending postponing the ordinance serial number 2607 until the next phase 2 of the Title 16 rewrite. Okay, solid.
Yay.
Commissioner DeYoung, second. But I have one
I
question.
seconded Brown's amendment.
It's already been seconded.
It's already, yeah.
Oh, you just, okay,
She just read it back through so we can.
so we
vote
had it
on
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's fine.
But I have one question. Is that rewrite the January 27th date?
January 27th. That's when the comp plan will be done. I think you can start your phase 2 earlier though. I think you can start phase 2.
Okay, I just was curious.
So I think that's just the comp plan.
Yeah, well, that's why I had asked
For
that
postponement.
the phase 2 was supposed to come prior to our comp plan being finished.
I think phase 2 is, so I think the intention based on what was expressed in your past meetings is that you don't change the lines in the city until you have the comp plan. Right, so, but that to start that process.
You can start it, but you won't finish until,
Yes.
right. Yes.
They just, so you're at a process now where you're just gonna vote on the amendment to the motion.
Yes.
Mr.
Just
Chair,
the amendment.
Mr. Chair, I call for the question.
Will the planning clerk please call the roll?
Thank you, Commissioner Seals. Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner Stafford?
Yes.
Commissioner DeYoung?
Yes.
Commissioner Langell?
Yes.
Commissioner Seals?
Yes.
By a unanimous vote, the motion to direct the planner to draft a resolution recommending to city council to postpone ordinance serial number 2607 until phase 2 of the Title 16 rewrite is approved.
So that's, that amendment has been approved. Now you have to go back to the original motion. So then now the motion includes the postponement. So now you gotta vote again, if someone calls the question.
Commissioner Brown, call for the question on the main motion.
On the main motion?
So the main motion is on the floor. Okay, and then.
And that was to,
reject.
that
That was
was
to
to
squash it, right?
reject it.
Yeah, to reject
The
it.
motion now includes the amendment. So the motion on the floor is a motion to direct the planner to prepare a resolution postponing ordinance 26. So
7.
Yeah, that's what you wanted.
Yes.
Until
until phase 2 of Title 16.
So I need to do another roll call.
So
Yes.
now you do a roll call on that main.
Yay.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner Seals?
Yes.
Commissioner DeYoung?
Yes.
Commissioner Langell?
Yes.
Commissioner Stafford?
Yes.
The vote on the main motion is approved.
Yay.
I know.
Yeah, I know, I gotta figure out where we were.
Communications.
I think we're at 8.2. 8.2, dear.
Yeah. I don't have an 8.2. Okay, next on the agenda is quasi-judicial hearings with no new items under quasi-judicial hearings. We will move on to unfinished business. We are now at unfinished business. With no unfinished business, we are move on to communications. We are now at communications. Would the planning clerk please read the items for approval under the communications into the record?
Thank you, Commissioner Seals. We have permits and licenses issued March 4th, 2026 through March 17th, 2026. Code violations, March 4th, 2026 through March 17th, 2026. And there were no new Matsu Borough Planning Commission agendas.
Is there any discussion by the commission? With no discussion, we move to audience comments. Is there anyone present? Okay, perfect.
Already here.
Let's see how confused he is.
Brian Sanigan, city resident.
3 minutes.
One quick comment. So I am on the comprehensive plan steering committee, and we actually talked about this. Our last meeting, I believe, was 2 weeks ago, about this ordinance and how it would impact. Because we literally just started the land use portion our last meeting, and our next 3 to 4 meetings are going to be on it. So I appreciate you guys, giving direction to hopefully that the council will listen to about postponing, because having this happen right in the middle would probably be a pretty big swing in what we're trying to get done to help, get the comprehensive plan together. But other than that, that's all I have. Thanks.
Thank you. All right. With no one wishing to speak, we move to comments. Does the acting city planner have any comments?
No comments.
Does the city attorney have any comments?
No comments.
Commissioner Brown, do you have any comments?
Thanks for participation and thank for the mini training. I like mini training, so bring them on.
Commissioner Stafford, do you have any comments?
No further comment at this time.
Commissioner Langell?
Good meeting. I think we all learned a little bit more tonight, which is good. So, thank you.
Commissioner DeYoung, do you have any comments?
I just want to say thanks, and I wish we would have had this before all the knee jerking. This is a great little tool right here. So thank you.
No, Chair Seals, thank you for the training. That was very good. Happy that we had.
Stafford's were 100 parcels owned by the city.
Didn't I have him go?
What?
It's his birthday today.
Okay, all right. 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Commissioner Stafford. Happy birthday to you.
It's probably a check.
Well, thank you all very much.
Thanks for the audience tonight. It's appreciative. Thank you very much for being on the steering committee for the comp plan. The future is something we need to control ourselves. And I appreciate all that you people do to help keep the city together. Thank you. That's my comments for this evening. With no further business at hand, I'm adjourning this meeting unless there's an objection. Seeing and hearing no objection,